All right, everybody. Kels Dayton here, RoundballDaily.com, back for day two here after the NCAA Tournament games, and just wanted to talk a little bit about what happened in the Elite Eight here tonight. Michigan, of course, moving on against Florida State, just beat the Seminoles in the Elite Eight. That was a great game. I thought Florida State played really well. You could really tell that Florida State's a talented team this year. I think you take a look at what they've done, their size, their athleticism. They got a lot of players coming back, and this team could be a team that could challenge next year, be an ACC contender next year. They finished 8th in the league this year. I think next year they can completely make a run at it. Obviously, in this tournament, what they were able to do by housing Missouri in the first round, upsetting Xavier, which was a great win for them, a great Xavier team, beating them, and then moving on, obviously, in the Sweet 16. I thought they were the better team against Gonzaga. They proved that and played a lot better in different spurts. I thought, against the Zags had a few runs where they played better and got out and pushed the ball a little bit, but Florida State played their game. Kept it a half-court game, and I thought they executed really well in that game. And against Michigan, they had plenty of chances, I think, down the stretch. You take a look at what happened. They fouled with like 30 seconds to go, 35 seconds to go, when they could have kept Michigan off the free throw line and just played solid D and gotten the rebound and gotten it back. I think actually there's probably a little bit more time than that, than 35 seconds, because obviously a 30-second shot clock, I believe it was like a 15-second difference. So they could have gotten the ball back and had a chance to tie at the end of the game. Had some bad execution down the stretch, a couple bad shots taken. So Florida State could have done a better job down the stretch of this game and could have maybe forced overtime, had a chance to win it, but obviously didn't happen. And you got to give a lot of credit to Michigan. John Beilein, they just got something special going with this group. With that program, it seems like there's something special. They got a lot of seniors on this team. Abdul Rahman is one guy who's a leader. But you look at just Beilein and what he's been able to do, just the way that he coaches, his coaching staff, his philosophy. You look at the culture is what I really wanted to say about this team. It feels like he has a special culture and he brings it together. And the Wolverines certainly had that today. And then I think when you take a look at them, they can really shoot the ball. Obviously didn't shoot very well in the Elite Eight game, but we saw what they did in the Sweet 16. And they're going to match up against Loyola Chicago, amazingly, incredibly, out of the Missouri Valley Conference. Loyola Chicago, the champs of the Missouri Valley, the way they played throughout their whole entire region in the first few rounds, they were an 11 seed, but this team, talent-wise, you look at them, you watch them play, they were better than a lot of teams in this bracket. Obviously just got by Miami in the first round on that game-winning three by Ingram, and then just got by in the second round off that Clayton Custer bounce, the gift from Sister Jean when it hit the rim and fell back through against Tennessee. And then, of course, Tennessee came down and hit the back rim. Everybody celebrated. But in the Sweet 16 against Nevada, I thought Nevada maybe had the better athletes. I thought they had guys who were going to go to the NBA. You take a look at Jordan Caroline, the Martin twins there. Those guys are good, and I thought Nevada had a very good team. Eric Musselman's a good coach. They play hard. They never give up. They fight. And it's amazing to see Loyola. These guys are just basketball players, man. They're not the best athletes, but they're just basketball players, and they know how to get it done. And I think inside, you look at the big fella in there. He's got some girth and could cause problems. I think in that matchup against Michigan, it's going to be really interesting because Michigan, obviously, Wagner could be a matchup problem for them. He's got size, obviously, can stretch you out, shoot the three. He's much more athletic than the Loyola big man, so that could be a big problem for them. But Loyola's had different guys step up each game, whether it was Dante Ingram, Ben Richardson this past game, Towns in the Sweet 16 game, Marcus Towns. So I think, they've had a lot of things going their way. Obviously, Sister Jean, the holiness, everything that she's been able to do. You saw that three with Kansas State, rim in, and then come completely back out and rim out. Basically touched every part of the basket except for the bottom of the net and that one. And that was kind of like the ball that bounced in. It was just a divine intervention, a gift from God right there. So I think what Sister Jean, her mojo, I think it's real. And I think Loyola is going to have a chance in this Final Four game. I think it's going to be a competitive game. I do give the edge to Michigan. I think that both teams play similar, but Michigan has the better athletes, and I think they should be able to get it done. But I do think it will be a really interesting and very good game. On the other side of the bracket tomorrow, we got Kansas versus Duke. That should be a great matchup. I think Duke definitely has better athletes when you take a look at inside Wendell Carter. When you take a look at the other big man, I was thinking of the name Jahlil Okafor. Obviously, it's not Jahlil Okafor. Marvin Bagley inside. Those two guys are key. long, and I think Udoka Azubuike is going to have problems in there. He's been hurt, and he's going to have to defend one or both guys at different times, so that could be a problem. I think the big thing for Kansas is they're going to have to shoot well and make shots. Duke did not shoot well in the Sweet 16 against Syracuse. Kansas is going to have to shoot well from the outside. Luke is going to have to make some threes. Devontae Graham is going to have to play extremely well as he has all year, been a National Player of the Year candidate for Kansas. LaGerald Vick as well. Malik Newman, one of those guys, I think Vick or Newman is going to have a big game for them to get this done in this one. But I do like the Jayhawks in that game, the way that they played. I know everyone's on Duke, but this has been that type of tournament that you can't predict. Whenever you think one thing's going to happen, you thought Kentucky, it was the Kentucky Invitational in that region. Kansas State beats them in the next game. So I think there's been a lot of those games in this tournament. And I think with this game, it's going to be the same type of thing. I think whenever you believe that Duke might be the best team remaining in the tournament, Kansas is going to have a chance to pull off the upset. And then in the other regional final in Boston, Villanova and Texas Tech. Obviously, Texas Tech hasn't been here ever. They've never made the Elite Eight. First time in program history that they're here. First time in program history that they've won 30 games. And Chris Beard has done a phenomenal job. Could have taken the UNLV job. Instead goes to Texas Tech, his alma mater. Said it was a dream job for him. And he's done better than anyone could have ever imagined there, and better than they've ever done in program history. But I do think Villanova has more athletes. They've got more options, more places to go. When you take a look at Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, those guys on the wing, they got a lot of shooters. DiVincenzo, I think they just have too many weapons and too many different ways to beat you. I think Texas Tech kind of relies a little bit on Keenan Evans for offense. They play great defensively, and they're going to have to hope that Nova has a really off shooting night, because I think that's the only way they can possibly win. Kind of packing in, make sure Nova misses a lot of shots. Make sure it's a half-court game, not a game where they're running up and down the court, because I think Villanova, to be able to speed the game up, can definitely take advantage there. And I know it's easier to slow the game down than it is to speed it up, but I think Nova, the way that they play, their senior guards, their leadership, their toughness, their intelligence with Jay Wright, I think all those things are going to be a little bit too much for Texas Tech to handle in that game. And I think Nova advances and the Wildcats move on to the Final Four. We'll see what happens. I've been rambling for 7.5 minutes. Guess it's fitting, because the Ramblers are going to the Final Four. We'll see you next time right here on RoundballDaily.com. I'm Kels Dayton. Peace out.